feeling? If only there was one more bong. Well, check this out. All you really need, presuming you are already in hand with a pregnant bong, is a handkerchief. With these tools, you can start procuring a beautiful mix. Just take yourself to the nearest sink and clean out all the muck that might be there, because we don't want that shit going on. Because what we're going to do with this here handkerchief and this pregnant bong is bring out all the goodness. Now, step one, you wet the handkerchief. Check this out. You want to make sure you get the whole thing wet. You've got to get all the moisture through it, because these things with all the snot and shit that's built up in them, sometimes you get these areas where the moisture just won't penetrate. Now to get it fully sopping wet, charge that water through it, squeeze it, and get it in every pore of the utensil. Now, we're ready to dredge. Here's where we find out what kind of yield we're in for. There will be a few dumps involved. The first one, of course, will contain the greatest yield. We will be able to gauge from this first fantastic dump what kind of yield we are in for. Here we go. Oh, that's gonna be sweet. Here we go for the second dump. You put the vessel straight under. Rinse it out a bit more, give it a shake, because some of those particles sometimes get stuck in there like a piece of food in your teeth or some shit, you know. You've got to get it all out. You've got to get into it. And as we see there, the second dump can sometimes be hazardous because sometimes you get a splashback. Some of the particles get splashed all over the sides of the sink. Now, don't worry. At first you might get panicked and think, oh shit, it's gone everywhere. But no, it's all still there. See, there's a nice seal actually generated there by the foil. You simply take the particles and they put it all back. And you fold over the handkerchief then. And here is what we've got to work with. Okay, now we've got the material on the foil, and we simply take up the handkerchief as we've today been using as the foil, but you know, you can really use any old material that you've got lying around. I had a pair of underpants right here, for example, that I could very easily been used, because the fine weave leaves small little holes which create a nice filter for the purposes. Look at this. This is the part where we actually use the velocity of water to take control of the situation. You need to get a steady stream of water. See how that's fanning out like a ludicrous thing? That's because it's coming out not hard enough. Actually, well, different faucets act different ways. As you can see, this one's given to fanning a lot, but actually I believe that's about the velocity we want. Check that out. Not too forceful, but steady. Just enough to do this. See how we've got all that crap all over the sides? We want to get that into a compact section so that we can do the next step of the process. Look at that. Look at how that water just gushes all that material down into a well, or a kind of well, generated by the foil as gravity tips it down like a hammock. And those holes that I was telling you about are causing all of the water to seep out, but not the goodness. And there it is. A nice big black pool of yield. Now, we grab the bowl inch body in there, ready to meet the rest of the bong, which we are about to take from the stem. Trust me, you do not want to forget about the stem. Now the whole body contents are nice and crumbly and almost like a nearly half-burned mix. But the very slimy black contents of this here stem, do not overlook that. That is at least half of what we are talking about here. Now, here we've got some goodness. You don't want to neglect this. You just pull the stem right out and there's a whole stick full of sludge right there. Now, all you need is something like a screwdriver or any good stick-like object to really hammer the sides out of this thing. Right here, we have some paper. Could do it in your underpants as well, but paper generally works better. If you're in a fix where you're caught between the toilet paper or your underpants, I would probably choose to use the underpants because toilet paper sometimes sticks to it. It's made of very flimsy material. Now, we just take the material and get it out on the paper like so. As you can see, there's a few nice chunks coming out right there. Look down the stem vertically because you want to make sure that there aren't any other big chunks stuck to the side of the walls, as there very often are. And of course, when you are finished with that, you give your poking implement a bit of a wipe on the paper, and there's a whole nother line of good blackness to get into. Take a look at this. Look at that yield. And it's ready to go. Let's cook her up. We've got a microwave prepared right here. Just sit her in there and give it a good 2 minutes, I think. And it'll be sweet. And it's done. Now, as we all know, a good THC reservoir needs an accompanying reservoir of nicotine. And as it so happens, we're in luck. We've got a reservoir right here. Ready-made nicotine. Let's get into it. What you need to do with these suckers is simply take all that black shit that you always find on the end there and rub it on the side of the ashtray. It'll all come off eventually, as you see. Now, as soon as you get a few of those brown fellas trickling out there, you know you're onto the gold. And then you just squeeze the fella, and out comes the nicotine. Now, as you can see, we've got at least 10 or so of these fellas in there, and we'll have a nice reservoir happening in no time. Of course, once we've got our nicotine reservoir, we simply add it to the rest. Ah, what a sweet combination that will be. Just give it a chop, and all those big old chunky bits will come apart in no time. Here's one I prepared earlier.